issues, the little contra-topic, we can call it that, between Senator Elizabeth Warren on the one hand and Jamie Dimon with J.P. Morgan on the other. It was pretty dramatic, actually. How much money does J.P. Morgan actually make off of that? I mean, if I were Jamie Dimon and I came over that, I'd almost say, forget it, let's not charge it anymore, it's not worth it.
Sure, and I think, the focus on, I would say, so this is sort of one part of the overall package, right? Because, there are overdraft fees, but then there's the overall value of the account, overall what you pay for the account. And so, in general, and I should note that over time, the rules have changed, and it is an opt-in product that went to that several years ago, and then you've had someone like Bank of America introduce a product, $5, you pay $5 a month, and you won't get these fees. That's about 30% of their base now, and their overdraft fees, are in the range of 1.5 billion, but they're down from 5 billion over 6 to 7 years ago. So this is really only like 1 to 2% of their revenue. But I think too, it's interesting from the broader perspective that there's actually a competitive war going on with regard to these fees. We've had these fintech companies like Chime and Varo coming in, not charging fees, and we've had some of the regional banks, such as Fifth Third, coming in and saying, we're not going to charge these fees. And Herman Chan, who's our regional bank analyst, has done some work on this with Julie Cheriel, who's also the fintech lead, just in talking about the fact that the regionals are cutting these fees just to compete. So I would say the clear message on overdraft fees is both from a competitive purpose and from a regulatory purpose, is that this is a source of revenue that's going away for the banks. Again, it's 1 to 2% for the big banks, more like 3% at the regionals.
Is it fair to say, Allison, that's not the biggest problem we got in banking today?
It's not, and as I said, if you think about it, right, it's one fee on an overall account, and so sort of an interesting focus.
Okay, thank you so very much to Darren Williams of Southern Bancorp, and also to Allison Williams of Bloomberg Intelligence. Coming up, his investment firm has been around for 40 years, and its success is shown by the $650 billion people entrust to it. We talked with David Booth, chairman and co-founder of Dimensional Fund Advisors, about what we should and what we should not be focused on this week.
You can't control markets, and you can't control the amount of risk you take for example.
This is Wall Street Week on Bloomberg.
Set of ideas around